Hey, all ready, Drew?
Yep.
Yeah, just I have to go in and change the Twitch settings because it makes everything podcast, and we're not really a podcast. All right, we're live. Say hello, Drew.
Hello, Drew.
Uh,
And
if
hello,
anybody
Mike.
actually comes in and watches us, but it may just be you and I talking, Drew, but that's good, right?
Sure.
So we're going to talk about Ultramega, and both Drew and I have read this first issue, and I think Drew's probably more of an old fanboy for kaiju stuff, but I found it very enjoyable. But we'll just do some like I said, a little non-spoiler talk first, and then we'll, if anybody's watching this and wants to hop out and go read it, then they can. So, non-spoiler, what do you think, Drew?
I mean, it checks all the boxes for me. I mean, big monsters, crazy violence. Um, it seems like an homage to the classic Ultraman.
Yeah, there's certainly an Ultraman vibe in the design, if nothing else. Um, the kaiju's are crazy. Um, if you like the destruction porn of the Transformers movies, you get plenty of that in here. Because like city blocks are being leveled in the fights. Um,
Yeah, there's a lot of the things like I guess Pacific Rim kind of touched on some of that stuff a little bit, but like the after effects of a kaiju attack, like people I guess without giving too much away, there are some very serious repercussions that happen to the populace due to a kaiju battle, which is
so
not something you
let me
really.
let me frame it like this, Drew. You're trying to convince someone to read this. What's your one or two paragraph pitch to say, hey, you should get this because?
Um, if giant monster fights isn't enough to pull you in, then I would say that the all the people involved in making this are like masters of their craft. You're seeing everything from like incredible creature design to amazing depictions of action and like just eye-popping colors. The colors in this are so great, and I mean, there's a lot of things that are like all the things add up to make this really beautiful product. That it really worked for me. So that's my selling of that.
Okay. And I would say if you haven't read it, if you're a fan of the kaiju, like Drew said, definitely you want to check this out. It's also this is not a kid's book, right? It's very brutal in some of the depictions, um, which is kind of cool because most kaiju movies are PG-13, so you get violence, but it's not explicit violence. This is explicit violence. Um,
Definitely.
so there's that. Um, it's I also liken it to like Attack on Titan. I like Attack on Titan because of the brutality, but the brutality has stakes, and you feel like the brutality in this has stakes. And
Yeah.
when we start talking spoilery stuff, then we'll talk more about that. But if you haven't checked out this book, go check it out and come back and watch the rest, and you can draw some stuff and send it to Drew and I. We'd love to see it.
Well,
Go ahead,
Heron
Drew.
had a book before, and I can't remember the name of it, and I'm drawing a blank. But it was a really good one. It was like like had a mythology to it with this character sort of brought back in almost a scarecrow kind of form. And why am I drawing a blank on the name of this book? Oh, I have to
I'm not
Google it.
super familiar with them, but there's one called Rumble.
Rumble. That's it.
Okay.
And I loved it, and you know, it had a lot of great stuff in it that I really enjoyed. Also, again, with really good monster design, and Heron's really good at drawing crazy monsters. I mean, it's like his whole milieu.
Okay, so that's the non-spoiler section. So if you haven't read this book and you don't want to know anything more about it, then stop watching and go out and get it and then read and come back. All right. So I have the book in front of me, so we can take a quick look. Um, You see James Herron, creator, artist, writer. Dan Stewart, colorist. Russ Wooten, letterer. There is a variant cover by Trad Moore and Attack Peter. Logo design by Sean Mikowitz. And logo designed by Andre Suarez. But it starts right off. You hit the ground running with this. There's not a lot of build up to get into the story, right?
No, nothing really extraneous. You get a quick setup, and then here you go.
We were introduced to the protagonist for this issue, and we get they don't really tell who this character is that like grants these guys the power, right, Drew?
Yeah, it's just some sort of weird alien guy that.
The setting for the story is kind of a dystopian future. There's this virus that causes people to mutate.
And not just mutate into kaiju.
Yeah, mutate into kaiju. And this mysterious being gives 3 people the power to also change, but they can control it. Well, they don't really control it. They change in reaction to being around somebody else that is infected, right?
Right. So it's like
they become like the defenders of the city.
Yeah, very much so. They're like sort of like the characters are merged with these, like in a symbiote sort of sense. Because they have a thing like implanted in their chest, like this eye.
So you get the origin story of how these 3 individuals get their power. We introduce, and by the third page, you got them fighting kaiju. So again, it's a pretty fast pace. You can see some of the creature design here, and I'm not going to let you read the book online. I'm just going to look through stuff. You can see. I do encourage you to read it. But you can see the design's very Ultraman, right?
Yeah, it's very reminiscent. I'm sure that was done on purpose.
And then the way they use their powers is very reminiscent too. It's what they do ultra body part and then the power that they want to deploy. So you have like ultra fist launch.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. It reminded me of the old Shogun Warrior.
But now here's the real spoiler thing for me is the 3 protagonists that were introduced in this book don't make it to the end.
Nope.
So this is already setting the stage for like, this world is brutal and unforgiving. You want to talk about any of the characters, Drew, or?
Well, and this is the thing is that the names of the characters weren't super apparent to me, but I don't think it really matters. We've basically got like the main hero guy. We've got sort of like a science genius kid hero guy.
So the main character is Jason, the one with the bristle mustache.
Yeah.
And then the tech guy is Stephen Meyer.
Yeah, that's him.
And the buff guy is just called Ern.
He's kind of like a wanderer sort of character.
Yeah. So the book, the issue follows Jason for the most part, and Jason's a very put upon character.
Yeah, he seems like he's at the end of his rope.
I think it looks like he's working as a janitor, and his job got replaced by a robot.
Yeah. But it also seems like it's no big secret that he's able to turn into this like guardian character.
Yeah, it does seem like it'd be hard to hide that fact too, though.
So you get the impression that maybe he's on some sort of government payroll, I don't know.
When he's calling his wife, he says he's on patrol, which means he's out there looking for infected people who will change.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if I got the sense that it was actually a job or just a duty. We only see the other two, Stephen and Ern, later on in the issue when they go to fight the big bad of the issue, which is a whole other messed up issue in the story because so I guess I need to backtrack a bit. So this virus has been running around for maybe what?
You figure at least 10 years. Maybe longer.
I mean, it's a decade or more, right?
Yeah.
So when Jason gets his powers, his wife at the time is pregnant, and his powers let him figure out that she's infected, but his duty would be to stop her, and he didn't do it.
Yeah. Because she was, one, that's his wife.
But two, yeah, so he couldn't bring himself. He couldn't bring himself to do it.
And she was pregnant with his unborn child as well. So.
But this is why I say there's stakes here. This is an unforgiving world because this comes back to bite him in the ass, right?
Right.
So when we when we meet him, it's farther in the future, and he's got a new family. And that ends up badly as well, but messages. Give me just a second. I'm going to grab something outside my door. Entertain the folks, Drew.
Okay. Who else here? Who we got? I don't know. Yeah, so monsters. Big monsters. Also referred to as kaiju. That's pretty exciting.
That was my daughter letting me know my avocado shake is outside the door. Avocado shake.
Sounds delicious.
But yeah, so that comes back to bite him in the ass because the big bad of this issue is his abandoned son.
Yeah, that's what we find out.
And we gather from the story that, as the Guardian, they're supposed to take care of stuff right away. And so him not being able to do this, it means that his first wife and his first son, his first child, have progressed beyond where they should be. Am I getting that right?
Yeah, well, because they make a point about how normally somebody doesn't gestate with this like kaiju virus for 10 years, but his wife has, so that's not already outside of what is normal in this world. And this kid looks like it's been in some sort of a cocoon thing, for basically 10 years or longer, before it emerges, to seek vengeance on its father.
And we'll take a quick look at the son. It's a pretty interesting design. His head, pretty much a skull. I'm trying to find a good picture that I can turn off. So this center one is his son. This is this part blossoms out, and then the head is inside.
Pretty creepy.
Which is just crazy. It's like a really bad version of the Bloomin' Onion.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good analogy.
So like that part opens up and the head is in there. So by the time we get to the fight with his son, the son's more powerful than all three of the ultras. And, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, he clearly, they're all pretty well outclassed by him. And it was definitely a surprise to see everybody dispatch so quickly.
Yeah, and like I said, that lets you know right away. This is not going to be your average. We're not going to be following people for long. And that's why I kind of likened it to like watching Attack on Titan. People die in that show and they don't come back.
Yeah, I mean, you learn early on in Attack on Titan not to get too attached to some of these characters.
So, I like that about this first issue of Ultramega. It seemed like it had stakes. Go to the comments and make sure they're nothing in there. Okay. But yeah, super brutal. And then he also gave me that vibe of like, meeting the how so the power, it was like an eye shard that got stuck in his chest. And then when he knows he's going to die, he rips it out of his own chest and launches his fist into the ground. And it's found years later. And that's how the issue ends, is by, I don't know. The person didn't find his fist, right? That was a mech fist.
Whatever, it seems like there's a connection. The person that's at the end of the issue where you like, it's a flash forward. And it clearly seems like they kind of idolize, the Ultra characters.
Well, they said I stand with Ultra. Ultramega, right?
And we know that the main character, Jason's child, survived.
Right. So that's the thing. The end of this issue jumps. It just says years later. It doesn't say how many years later. So the person that finds or that will get the power may be his son. Maybe. His second wife didn't make it out of this issue, which is another brutal way to go, right?
Yeah,
so,
drowning in the blood of your husband.
Yeah. So when Ultramega is killed in this issue, his body bleeds out enough to drown a few city blocks, and then it scabs up, right?
Yeah, which is horrible.
So his wife and child were caught in that, but she holds the child up while she's drowning in the blood, and it congeals over her, and that's how the child is found later. Her hands just barely out of the blood, holding Noah. There's the baby.
Yeah.
Again, brutal is the word that I associate with this comic. It is brutal.
It is a blunt
action and the storytelling. It's just brutal.
But it's so well done, and it's so pretty to look at. Like, it's a really pretty comic. And I don't, if that's the right word. It's like very, again, eye-popping color, just the way it's designed, everything.
What are you drawing, Drew?
I am just drawing a random kaiju.
Okay. Nice. Nobu says Oroha. Howdy, Nobu. Nobu Yuki. Have you read the book, Nobu? Because we are getting spoiler if you haven't, just so you know. If you have read it, you're welcome to jump in here and talk about it with us or draw stuff from it. So what did you think of the like the dystopian setting? You know, because apparently this disease is, but it seems isolated to this one city, and then outside the city is just wasteland, kind of, right?
Yeah, well, I didn't hear them reference parts of the world. You have to wonder, like, are there other situations going on around the world, or is this the only like settlement that's left? Like, you know, but it seems like in the flash forward at the end, things have gotten even worse. You know.
Here's my first Ultramega sketch.
It looks great.
I've got another one started. Switch out. Now, one of the things that I enjoyed about James Herron's artwork is, if you look at the vehicles, they're very stylized. They're kind of like child cars, you know, like the ones the kids use that are really bubbly.
Like the little Tykes vehicle.
Like, you know, the type you put a baby in that, you know, it's got like a high roof and.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I like that.
I mean, if you look at the vehicles, you see they're very stylized that way. And I'll be the first to admit I'm not great at vehicles, so mine aren't as good as James is. I just kind of wanted to draw something that showed his size and kind of the cars around him. Nobu hasn't read it yet because he doesn't need to have time to read it anytime soon. Well, okay. If you're going to stick around, though, we will be spoiled. We already have spoiled it.
It's okay. He'll live.
It's a weird. It's not a far flung future setting, but it's far enough in the future that we have like robot janitors. And then when the three ultras die, because that was basically the plan. You know, they were the protectors. I mean, then when they die, it's like, well, you know, society kind of fell apart for a bit, and they stopped relying on that, and they ended up building like mecha guardians, right?
Yeah, I think there was already some. Like,
So as you get toward the end of the book, you can see they start building these different types of large mechs.
The one character, the Stephen or whatever his name is, Stefan. Mm-hmm. I think he was working on them before he died.
Right, he was a robot builder. Yeah. And I guess they developed some kind of technology that would detect the virus in early stages before people would change, so they could weed them out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we both really enjoyed this, and I don't know when the second issue's coming out.
I don't know either.
But I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
You ever tried drawing destruction porn with just like debris and rubble everywhere?
Yeah, I like to draw that kind of stuff. You know, just get some like there's like the potential for sort of random, you know, semi-organic shapes. And
well, yeah, that's kind of on this one. So I did draw the bad guy fighting him, but I just kind of made like this intestinal thing kind of running across the bottom. I'm going to do another one here. And then I figured I'd try drawing the bad guy, Death Blossom.
Mm.
They don't. I don't think they named him. Oh, so here's the closing scene of our protagonist of this issue. You can see his end wasn't good. He said there was enough blood coming out of him to drown a few city blocks. And this is what I'm talking about, the destruction porn. You see, James is really into James Harris is really into knocking down buildings. What else about the comic would you like to talk about, Drew?
I mean, you know, the potential for world building, you know, it's going to be interesting to see as they sort of, you know, pan back and reveal more of this world that they're living in, like what's going on there. Like I said, we don't know about other parts of the world. I mean, I'm assuming it's in the United States, but you know, who knows where this takes place. So
Yeah, that's the one interesting thing is you never really get a sense of how widespread this problem is because most of this story seems contained to this one city, like a city-state kind of thing. It seems like a bad plan from the get-go, though, right? To just let these three people to be the defenders because, I mean, just the first fight we see in the issue, they're knocking down all kinds of crap.
yeah,
So it doesn't seem like a good way to live.
no, it does not.
Like even if they're taking out the ones that do change, the process doesn't seem um, particularly efficient.
No, it does not.
When you look at the destruction of property, and I'm sure there's collateral damage and loss of lives. There would have to be with all the destruction going on. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see like at the jump at the end. How many years did they jump? Because it just says, like I said, it just says years later, and there's a scene in the issue where after the ultras had failed, the people kind of turned on them and they were tearing down the statues that had been erected to them. So at the end, when the new guy pops up, and he's got like the eye symbol painted on his hoodie,
Yeah,
which are very reminiscent of the homemade suit from Spider-Man, the hoodie.
yeah.
But he says, "I stand with Ultramega." So, I guess like the people that are harassing him were like, giving him a hard time because he's wearing the Ultraman or the Ultra logo. So I'll probably, as I talk about this issue going forward, I'm probably gonna slip and say Ultraman more than once.
Well, that's okay. You bring up an interesting point here. Like Marvel has right now an Ultraman comic book that they're putting out, and
But so does I think it's Boom or IDW.
they're putting it out too.
I thought I saw one.
Well, like I've been picking up the Marvel one, and I'm not that knocked out by it. I mean, they get some really good cover artists for it, but
Mm-hmm.
the interior art, with the exception of like the first few issues, I think had a backup story by I think it was Michael Cho. But but it's kind of a sort of a Darwin Cook kind of style, which I like. And then the newer issue has had a backup by Guri Hiro, who I like their work. But the regular story, it's just like the art just seems kind of like it's sort of phoned in. It's not that exciting. I don't know. I don't. I feel like they saved a lot of money by not getting some big names to work on this. And the thing is like I know that there are a lot of Ultraman fans out there. You would think that there's some pretty, established artists that would probably be willing to draw an Ultraman comic. I'm guessing that Marvel didn't want to spend the money on it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times licensed stuff they don't like to, because they don't get to, I guess, pocket as much from it. Who knows? But it just it's kind of disappointing to me in that here you got a property like Ultraman, which is popular. Maybe not as popular as like Star Wars, but it does have a following. People know the character, especially I would say in Japan. But they just kind of phone it in on the art, and then in the meantime, you got this comic Ultramega comes out from Image, which is clearly an homage to Ultraman, and I think like man, too bad Marvel didn't reach out to these guys. Like they could do the licensed Ultraman comic of this kind of quality. That would be something, but they didn't do that. So
Yeah. You think it was an active choice not to invest as much?
I think in the past Marvel has not been willing to put a lot into properties that they don't own, and and I get it because you don't get to take home as much. I mean, really, you're just doing like an advertisement for somebody else's property, but they could have turned the Ultraman comic into something real big. I mean, the Alex Ross covers, made me think that that was something that they were going to put some effort into, but I guess I was wrong.
Well, maybe he was the big artist you're talking that wanted to draw some Ultraman.
Yeah. Well, it's they've had like Art Adams covers, they've had Alex Ross, they've had a bunch of different covers. A lot of people were like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do a cover," but were they interested in doing the interior art? Was Marvel willing to pay somebody to do the interior art? Like, who knows?
Was the other comic you were talking about that Aaron did, was it a similar kind of vein?
Rumble?
Rumble, yes.
Rumble is like a sort of a mythological kind of god character who dies and then comes back, but his spirit is housed in a body that's made out of like wood and basically like a scarecrow kind of type of character. And he's basically trying to find his body so he can get back into his real body. And it's set in like the modern world. There's a bunch of like monsters and other like I guess god type characters. I don't know. It's got a lot of his signature action and violence and interesting looking monsters. I enjoyed it, but sadly,
I'll have to look it up. I mean,
yeah,
I've enjoyed this, so I imagine I would like his other work.
I'm pretty sure you can get the trade at Dragon's Lair.
Dragon's Lair, for anybody watching, is our local comic shop. that Drew and I go to. I'm just trying to draw a random rubble. How's it looking?
It looks great.
I don't have the facility with buildings that Mr. Heron has, so I can't do that. But
well, I'm looking at his buildings, and I mean, they're, you know, especially in a situation where there's a kaiju battle, they all just sort of look like dominoes that are resting on each other.
yeah, well, yeah, they do treat them that way. So there's a lot of destruction porn in his book.
My pen is dying. New pen. I'm trying to just do straight to ink.
Trying to do what?
Straight to ink, no pencil. Just see if I can keep from screwing up.
What do you think? Should I add color or shading to this thing before I try the sun?
The last one you colored looked really good.
Let me erase out some pencils. I finally broke down and dug out my old gummy eraser, kneaded eraser.
Oh yeah.
I got tired of dealing with all the pencil shavings, eraser shavings. That's the one nice thing about the kneaded eraser. They don't shed as much. I think I'm going to do full color because I like having the tone paper. I'll do some shades. Some shade.
Yeah. Just add a little like color here and there to make it pop.
What do you think this virus comes from that like causes people to change into kaiju? That seems kind of.
It's the variant of Corona.
COVID Omega.
Yes.
The hard white. The hard red white when you don't want the white to be really bright.
So I added Ultramega and some wreckage.
Yeah, you got the knockdown buildings in the back, I see.
Yes. You have to.
Now the the shard, the eyeball shard that he launches with his fist. You figure somebody's got to recover that if it's not the character in the end of the first issue, right?
One would assume.
Do you reckon it's like a Green Lantern thing? Do you have to be worthy? Because it seemed like whoever that was who gave him the powers chose those people for whatever reason.
Yeah, I would agree. It seems to be what they're doing.
Here's a here's a secret here. I was having trouble drawing this back foot. Kick my ass. I just couldn't figure out the angle in my head. So John said, just put a car there.
That's smart. Good job, John.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a cop out, but I'm going to do it. Yes.
John's been doing this long enough. He knows all the tricks.
Yeah, I don't know why I was kicking my butt. I just I couldn't wrap my head around how the car should look. Coming with some brighter highlights. And then I'm going to use a Pentel correction pen to put some lightning power stuff coming off his face.
Nice.
So I've done so much tone work over the last few years. I've had different values of white that I can put down.
Mm-hmm.
Put some glass in the vehicles. What color these you reckon the intestinal stuff should be?
Maybe like a lavendery color.
Like a pink or a lavender?
Better. I don't know. I guess everything would be bloody.
Put the color down on this, and I'll go back in with some white to add like the wetness.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny having these kind of conservative upbringing, where it's like I don't want to do like graphic sexual stuff, but I'm fine drawing like graphic violence.
Yeah, just like Walmart.
It's weird to know your own foibles in that regard. It's like. Some random blood splatters around. This punch something. Neutral gray, just to put in some values in there. Torso and shadow. Annoying. Some shading in the rubble. You talk to yourself when you draw, Drew?
Sometimes I make noises, sound effects.
I don't know if it's a byproduct of streaming, but I sometimes find myself, even when I'm not streaming, like talking myself through processes.
I know that I probably don't talk to myself because I spend so much time by myself. After a while, I start losing my voice just from inactivity.
Yeah. When the pandemic first hit, I had that problem where I wasn't talking much to anybody, and it's like then I have to talk to somebody for like 20 or 30 minutes, and my voice would crack. You know, it's like. Some shading in the tires. Just enough to. That's out.
Yeah, the rocket fist thing kind of blew me away in that, they're clearly organic beings when they're in their like guardian form. They shouldn't be able to just sort of detach a limb and then just fire it off.
Yeah, we still don't know what the rules of this world are and stuff like that, right?
But
Because like the way Ern went out, he's like he blew himself up.
yeah.
So there's definitely some energies involved.
But did you notice too that he was looking more kaiju like as he was battling? Like as he was like it was like he was harnessing almost like that kaiju energy himself.
Ern?
Yeah.
I think Ern had been stripped his flesh from what it looked like. Let's see. That's kind of what I gathered here, right? It looks like Ern had been de-sleeved, as you know, like in college when you rip off the skin from your limbs and stuff.
Yeah.
Or degloved if you lose the skin on your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like he was de-skinned to me. Certainly lost his lower torso. Where's my Pentel? Energy around the fist. Use that to get some more highlights of the vehicles. And some specular highlights in the gore.
I guess I'll bring up the elephant in the room. Did you see Godzilla versus Kong?
I have not.
I have not either. Honestly, though, people whose opinions I respect haven't said anything bad about it. So
No, it doesn't seem like it's in a bad thing. I just don't have HBO and I haven't tracked it down.
mm.
And I'm still not ready to go to a movie theater in person,
Yeah.
even though I've had both my shots.
Yeah, Rick Hoberg went and saw it in the theater.
Yeah, he gave it good marks.
He liked it.
The only comments I've seen from some of the creators have been like, I think it was Marv Wolfman saying, I don't care what you say, they're monsters, not kaiju. Just because that's how you were raised.
Yeah.
I'm kind of of the mind that like all kaijus are monsters, but not all monsters are kaiju. It's kind of like a subset.
Right.
With a white pencil and add in some highlights in the V2 just to rank them out. The vehicles too, I guess. All right, there's the second one. I think I'm going to call that done.
I love the color.
What's that? Oh, nice. Threw some color in there too. Put that to the side. Some other paper. Do one more drawing here. I draw the Death Blossom Sun. Trying to figure out how you want to approach this. He's got one arm that's bigger than the other, and the arm's got like a blade on it. I don't think I can do justice to his style. We'll give it a shot.
I don't know. I always end up just drawing in my style. So.
Well, you have a pretty distinct style. That's something I never developed, a real strong, distinct style.
You have a style.
I have a style, but it's not like super distinct.
I don't know. I mean, I see like your
I
influence.
spent so much time, emulating other people for various reasons.
Yeah, I wouldn't sell yourself short. I feel like it's obvious you're a Buscema guy.
What's that now?
It's obvious you're a Buscema guy. I see Buscema in your stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all kind of wear our influences on our sleeves.
Buscema, Byrne, and Perez and Kane were probably the four that I looked. Here's a quick peek for those. Like, this is the person at the end we think is going to be carrying on the story, right?
That's what I think.
And he appears to be like a cyborg, because he finds that mech fist and puts it on, so he can obviously attach himself to stuff. So it'll be interesting to see if he's actually tied in. I don't know if this power that we show in this panel is like electrical from the cyborg stuff, or whether he's got some of that ultra stuff going on.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot to look forward to in the second one.
The next issue is going to be called "The Screaming Galaxies and the Plastic Boy."
Does it say when it drops?
I'm reading the back messages right now. So please keep an eye out for the incredible variants we have planned on our initial art. Trad Moore did that. He did the work on Luther Strode and Silver Surfer.
Yep.
Plus this issue, and Ian Beltran and Ryan Otley and Paul Pope will grace us for the rest of the way. See you April 21st.
Okay, not long.
So
that's good.
Yeah. One of the things I wish they had done, because this is, it's a little thicker than a normal comic, but it's also a little pricier than a normal comic.
Yeah.
I wish they had done some like development stuff. You see, like, you ever heard Bitter Root?
Yeah.
So they do some like character breakdowns and how they came up with the ideas and stuff. It would have been nice to see some of that in the back, but maybe when they do a trade.
Yeah, they're probably saving it for the trade.
There's been a few comics lately where they've done that. It may be padding out the page counts, but I think it's a nice touch because I always wonder what the thought process is when people are doing the grading.
I love seeing that stuff.
And the other thing I'd like to see, even though I do love the colors, I'd like to see an artist edition, kind of like just with the line art.
Yeah. Nothing against the line art, but I don't know, man. The colors really make it pop so much that I wonder if visually it would be as interesting in black and white as it is in color.
Still trying to get a feel for how I want to draw the kid. So I do want to do the focus on the head. An awesome blossom thing that his head's sitting in. The head is basically a skull, so that's easy enough.
Mm-hmm.
random little bits, act kind of like a collar. It's all organic looking though. And the blossom. And the blossom, what I'm calling the blossom, kind of reminds me like a spread rib cage.
Yeah, I can see that.
His right arm is oversized, left arm is skinnier. Oh, I got that backwards. His left arm is oversized, his right arm is skinnier. Any speculation as to who the person was or the creature was that gave him the powers to begin with?
No, I need more info.
This one's a hard one for me because it goes outside of normal anatomical conventions pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
I spent a long time trying to get my anatomy better, and then when I try to go outside that, it's harder for me to wrap my head around.
You train yourself to do these things, and then they go and make you do it. I don't know. I barely pay attention to anatomy anyway. I don't care. If my stuff looks cartoony, I'm fine with that.
Uh, it's just I spent a long time trying to get my anatomy better.
Yeah. You know, if you're like Gil Kane or Buscema or Burn Hogan. All that stuff is kind of key to their styles anyway.
Don't see anything with feet. He's got kind of gorilla feet, where it's the feet almost look like hands.
Yeah.
It's the core is messing me. But tomorrow I'm doing a stream where I'm drawing other people's OCs.
Yeah.
And Erwin Torres sent me one, but all he has is a black and white drawing. He's like, well, what color is it?
You get to surprise him.
I don't do surprises well. That's better. All right. I don't do real tight pencils anymore. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's almost like I prefer thinking with the ink.
Yeah. I think it makes it looser. More free.
But certainly for these kind of things where it is basically a sketch session. I don't have to try and make the perfect art.
Yeah.
But even when I'm doing more polished stuff, I find that I don't pencil as tight as I used to. I just kind of like.
I think like kaiju is a genre that like kids really like. Like I feel like, yeah, I don't know if it's part of like because like when you're a little kid and you like dinosaurs.
Well, it's funny when you hear people like reviewing Kong versus Godzilla. I mean, a lot of it breaks down into the monkey punch lizard or monkey punch dinosaur.
I guess it is kind of simple, but there's something about it. Like when you're a kid, like when I was a kid, I could watch Godzilla movies all day long. Like you set me in front of TV and I would make a peep. I just watch. I'd be happy. And when they had like Ultraman was in syndication where I grew up, so like I watched lots of that.
Well, Drew, this is where I'm reminded how much older I am than a lot of my friends, and then how rural I grew up. Because I didn't see Ultraman until junior high,
Yeah.
and that was when I went to visit my aunt in Las Vegas, because we didn't get that where I was.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, it was popular here. I think Ultra 7 was more popular in Hawaii for the people who grew up here. I think that was their Ultraman.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you know, Ikeda, which is definitely more like what they call the tokusatsu kind of Sentai type of character. But
Yeah, that's when people like to remind me how much Halley I am, because I didn't grow up with Kikaida and Kamen Rider, and
yeah, we just had, I don't know, in Michigan we had Ultraman and we had Taco. And his giant robot.
and then he's got like huge things coming out his back, kind of like Godzilla, you know.
Yeah.
And drawing's very similar to drawing to Apocalypse or Doomsday is one.
You think more like Doomsday?
Because Doomsday has like the bony spikes and spurs and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And Heron's got a more angular style than I would normally use.
Yeah. He's definitely like Heron, Treadmore, and Daniel Warren Johnson all kind of seem like they're drinking the same juice. I don't know.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Like there's like those guys that are out right now. James Heron, Daniel Warren Johnson, and Treadmore. They have like a real kind of loose style, but almost kind of cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
I like the direction that they go in.
What else are you watching these days?
Falcon and Winter Soldier. watching that. I've been enjoying the Invincible animated series.
Oh, I gotta check that one out. I never read the books though, so I don't know. I'm gonna be hurt by not watching them or not reading them.
Nope, I never read them either. I like the animated series though, but I don't know. I always thought the comics looked really generic, and it just didn't look like something I was into. But I'm enjoying the show.
You started a new drawing, or you still on the same one?
I'm still on the same one. I'm going a little crazy on the coloring. I think
Good though.
I think I just finished it. So here's the colors.
Oh, sweet. I like the kaiju.
Thanks.
Really, really good sense of form with the colors going around the muscles like that. Here, let me bring you up. Oh, put it back up. Put it back up. I'll give you a solo so we can get a better look at it. Sweet. I like it, Drew.
Thanks. Oh, we're running out of juice. All right, I might have to switch devices here.
Okay.
I'm gonna go offline for a second, but I'll come back in.
Oh no, I'm gonna be all by my lonesome.
I'll be right back.
All right. Well, there you get a closer look at the big bad of the issue. My take on the big bad, anyway. I don't think they ever really give the son a name. I know the mother's name was Lilith. I don't recall seeing the son's name anywhere in the issue. Naboo, you still there? Drew's back.
Hello, hello.
It's dark. In that strong sidelight.
That better?
Ah, yes, much better. Now we can see you again. You don't look like you're in witness protection.
Did you pick up any new comics this week?
What did I pick up?
Tell me you got Beta Ray Bill.
I did not. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm waiting to hear about the story. The art really didn't tickle me.
See, I like that guy.
I don't know. I mean, so I'm waiting for someone to tell me how the story was. If the story's good, then I'll go pick it up. But
I liked the story. I mean, I haven't read enough of Thor lately to kind of know everything that's going on. But I guess there was a storyline where Thor destroyed, was it Stormbreaker? Bill's hammer.
you're right.
So because Bill's hammer got destroyed, Bill doesn't have the access to the enchantment that he needed in order to sort of change forms. Because
Okay.
Bill could change into sort of a more humanoid form, but he can't do that anymore now because he lost his hammer, so he's stuck looking the way he does.
Is he stuck in the Thor form or in the?
Yeah, in his Thor form. And I guess Thor has been mostly absent from Asgard. So Bill has been sort of the principal guardian of Asgard in his absence. And they get attacked by Fin Fang Foom. And so he has to face Fin Fang Foom, and it's like him, and I think the Warriors 3 and Sif is there. And but he doesn't have his hammer, so he can't use the lightning or any of that kind of stuff. And the just as Fing Fang Foom looks like he's gonna get the drop on him and Sif, Thor shows up and dispatches him, and Thor is made to look like the big hero, and Bill seems to be very resentful. And then Sif wants to make out with him, and
With Beta.
with Beta Ray Bill, and but he can't change his form, and she's kind of not into his more monstrous form. So she wants him to revert to a more humanoid form, but he can't. So he kind of leaves Sif in shame, and then Thor comes up to him and is like, hey man, why aren't you, back at the, partying down with us or whatever? And Bill is basically like, I hate you. You wrecked my hammer. I'm stuck this way because of you. And so he leaves and basically takes off into space, and he's looking for Odin and hopes that Odin can, either get him Stormbreaker again or give him the enchantment he needs so he can turn into his more humanoid form. But I don't know, if you're not into Daniel Warren Johnson's art in it, then I can't imagine you'd be really into it, story or not.
Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't grab me. It's like looking at it, and it's like.
I don't know. That same artist, he did a book I loved. It was called Murder Falcon. That was a lot of fun. He's done some like Star Wars like fan stuff over the years that I like.
We need to put the hint of a body or something underneath him. Yobu is still here. All right. We've got it on for background noise. Wonder what the Woo's working on.
Did you see any of the April Fool's stuff that they've been posting lately?
Oh, I hate April Fools, so I don't pay too much attention to it.
I don't know. There was some funny stuff.
Go ahead and give me some of the ones you like.
Well,
I'm not a big April guy myself, so.
okay. Well, you know, like, you know who Bruce Campbell is?
Sure, Army of Darkness.
Yeah. He posted on Twitter. It was supposed to, because he's in the new Doctor Strange movie,
Okay.
which is filming right now, and he posted this page from the script, and it's like Doctor Strange comes through the portal into a strange world, and there's like a rural cabin in front of him, and Strange walks up to the cabin, and out of the cabin walks a disheveled man who appears to have a chainsaw for a hand.
Okay.
And it's like, and Doctor Strange is like, I'm trying to find the Darkhold. And then the man is like, disheveled man just says, does it have a human face in front of it? And then Doctor Strange goes, no. And that was it. But it was like, it was so good, and I just thought it was so funny.
He was playing off the Necronomicon.
Yeah. Because, Sam Raimi's directing it, so.
Yeah, who did Army of Darkness, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that one's fairly harmless, but I don't know. It's a lot of the April Fool's stuff just irritates the shit out of me. I don't have the patience. It's like one of the Comic Jam members messaged me some April Fool's thing, and I just said, "Look, I don't bother." It's like Disney sold Mickey Mouse. And it's like, yeah, right.
I like the one about Marvel and DC merging. But that was.
But then that person asked me like you did, you seen any other ones? It's like, no, I don't know, and I don't care. It's like I don't pay attention to April Fool's gags. I'm not looking for them. I don't want to.
You don't want to encourage.
It makes me seem like I don't like to have fun, which is not quite true. It's just
Not quite.
Some of the stuff like a lot of it has to do with like the spirit of the gags and stuff, where they just seem mean spirited or they're trying to be deceitful, and that's supposed to be funny. And it's like, if you're posting something that's obviously not real and you're doing it in a lighthearted manner, that's one thing. But when you're trying to actually get people to believe it, yeah.
Mm.
I don't know, just, I'm getting old and curmudgeonly, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll just do some spot color. What do you think?
Yeah.
Put some hint of the red around his death blossom. We use orange and red combination, maybe. The red is super juicy. I gotta be careful. The skull is blue green. Yes, turquoise almost. Organic bits. Skin is a beige, kinda. That might be the hardest thing. I don't know if I have a good beige. So, not really beige, but it's gonna do. darker beige. A really dark, warm gray is kind of what I think I need.
I decided to bust out my watercolors.
Ooh, getting fancy. Hold on, so let me bring up solo again so we can see a better look. Nice. From the old Ultraman, right?
Well, it's just it's the generic kaiju figure, I guess.
All right, quick and dirty.
Looks good.
So I think that's my drawing for the day. Go solo for a second here. You'll still be able to hear me, but Ultramega, more Ultramega, but this time a little more sense of scale there. This is actually small. The sizes seem to be, you know, whatever the artist wanted them to be at the time.
Yeah, it's true. It doesn't seem super consistent.
Yeah. So he gets even bigger. You know, they get taller than buildings in some scenes, and they're between buildings and others. And by the end, the big bad is almost as big as the city itself.
Seems like it.
So,
Or at least like as big as like that downtown area or something.
yeah. All right. Let me bring you back up and show what you worked on while we were here.
Sure. I guess I'm like pretty much done. Okay, so this is the one I just finished. Well, it's finished as it's gonna get. It's just a rough, kind of gestural. What I did draw the guy shooting some sort of energy bolt,
Nice.
and then this is just kind of just a little showcase of a kaiju.
Like I said, I really like your coloring and shading on that one, man.
Thanks.
You did a great job defining the forms. So that's us blathering on about the first issue of Ultramega and sketching about it. I think we can safely say we recommend it. Go out and check it out. Kaijus, viruses, mecha, brutality, destruction porn. It's all there. So So go check it out. Thank you for joining us. Anybody that actually watched this, Naboo, appreciate you hanging out with us. Hope we didn't bore you to death. And that'll be it. Okay, say aloha.
Aloha.
Actually, where can they find you if they want to check out more of your stuff on social media?
Mash Monster on Instagram, or Andrew Guiterriez on Facebook.
And you changed it to Mash Monster from Goody whatever.
I think it comes up under Mash Monster Enterprises on Instagram.
All right. So thanks for hanging out. Aloha.
Thanks, Michael.